the Sooners. It's a 10 for Brenna Dowell.
Well done for the freshman.
Anastasia Webb scores a perfect 10. Nichols typically is money on beam.
She can usually finesse these landings perfectly. There it is.
And a 10 is in for Maggie Nichols.
Welcome to the Lloyd Noble Center here on the campus of the University of Oklahoma. Today it's OU Women's Gymnastics as the North Carolina Tar Heels visit the #1 Oklahoma Sooners in Norman. Hi everyone, I'm Bart Connor along with my fellow Sooner and fellow Olympian Kelly Garrison Funderburk. Excited about the Sooners at this point in the season. They're the #1 team in the country. In fact, they're a half a point better than the #2 team in the country, and that is Utah. For the last 3 of the 4 years, the Sooners have won the national championship, and they look on track again to contend for a title again this year, Kelly.
I know it. It's absolutely amazing. I just can't get over that they're averaging a 9.89 per routine. Right when I think they can't get any better, they continue to.
Well, they're coming off an incredible week last week against the UCLA Bruins in Westwood. And let's look at some of the record-setting performances. 3 perfect 10s for the Sooners in that meet. Nichols, Webb, and Dowell. Maggie Nichols got her 8th perfect 10 of her career, 4 on the beam. OU scored that second 198 magic number in women's college gymnastics, and they've done it twice this year. And, of course, they had a road win against another top 20 team. So the Sooners on a roll at this point in the season. And as we come back home, Kelly, let's take a look at some of the other accolades for the Sooners this week.
Unbelievable. You see Maggie Nichols, once again, Gymnast of the Week. Bree Showers coming in as Newcomer of the Week. And the Specialist of the Week is Stephanie Couture.
In fact, Maggie Nichols had a 10 on the beam there. Bree Showers, it's interesting that she's the Newcomer of the Week, even though she's a sophomore. She did miss all of last year's season with an arm injury, and so good to have her back in the lineup. And Stephanie Couture, you can see how she contributed importantly to the Sooners' really historic victory against the Bruins last week in California. Now, we always want to focus on the entire team because this is a remarkable team. But Anastasia Webb has really caught our attention. She's the young freshman from the Chicago area, and she's sort of our gymnast to watch today, Kelly, isn't she?
That's right. She's amazing because she performs like just a complete upperclassman. I mean, she has nerves of steel. She gets up there. She just looks amazing. I'm looking forward to watching her along with all the team members. As, like you said, Bart, it is a team event, so we need to watch all the Sooners today. But Anastasia is our specialty today.
All right, gymnastics gets underway when we come back to the Lloyd Noble Center. Don't go away.
Sooners Sports TV is brought to you by Air Comfort Solutions, your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. OU Extended Campus. Degrees online, on campus, on your schedule. Become the tradition. Riverwind Resort. Still the one. And Red Carpet Charters, the official motor coach carrier of OU Athletics.
All right, let's take a look at the keys to the meet today, presented by Riverwind Resorts. Kelly, first of all, the Sooners have to stay pumped up after that emotional win last week against the Bruins.
They sure do. You know, it's hard coming down off that, and I think the one thing that's going to help them is that they're here back home, going to entertain the crowd and just kind of relax and do what they know how to do best.
All right, and Meg is down on the floor. She had a chance to catch up with one of the former Sooner coaches, Taylor Spears, as the Sooners get underway on the ball with Bree Shower.
Much Oklahoma has the potential of putting up 5 10-0 start values on vault. They will only be competing 3 tonight. Jade Dago-Vega, she's out with an injury, hoping to make the lineups later this season. And Anastasia Webb, she will be rested on this event, but will compete some of the other events. As for coming back from injuries, Natalie Brown hoping to make the beam lineup here pretty soon. She actually warmed up on beam at UCLA and is working her way back in, hopefully this season.
Okay, thank you, Meg. And the visiting team, as is the tradition, starts on the uneven bars. The home team, the Sooners, on the vault. North Carolina Tar Heels now here. They are ranked 33rd, that's hard for me to say, 33rd in the country in team competition. This is Madison Nettles, a senior from Summerville, South Carolina.
Well, she started out the Tar Heels just great. That's what they want, is a nice hit routine. A little bit of a struggle in the middle, but got them off to a good start.
Alex Marks will be next up for the Sooners. Bree Showers led them off with a good solid start. Alex Marks from the Oklahoma City area. She was born in Cushing, Oklahoma, did her club training at both Dynamo Gymnastics and Bart Connor Gymnastics. And it's good to see. It's hard to believe she's already a junior. Didn't it seem like she just went off to college, Kelly?
It sure does. You know, she was part of that national championship team, and her vault is one of the reasons why they won that title. And so it's good to see her back in the lineup.
Megan did mention the 10-0 vaults. Those are vaults starting from the 10-0 start value. When Alex Marks is on, she does a very solid 1.5 twister. And she went for a full today.
That's right. No stick, and the Sooners have been so good at sticking this year. I think that's the one thing that's really made them stand out compared to other teams in the country, and that's what they've been working for years. Unfortunately, that is not a stick that they're looking for, that they are looking for. See that hop? That'll come in time if she keeps competing.
Makayla Williams, a sophomore from Georgia, will be next to go. You see behind her, clapping in the background there, is their head coach, Derek Galvin, in his 36th season at North Carolina. It was great to catch up with him now that he's here in town, and great to see what a great job he's done with this program. 5 times EAGL Coach of the Year.
It's wonderful to find out not only he is coaching the team, but also Taylor Spears, a former national champion and OU great.
Right, as I mentioned, Meg will have a chance to catch up with Taylor a little bit later, and we'll talk with her about coming back home for not only to be here in Lloyd Noble, but this time as a coach of the competitive team. There is Taylor giving her accolades after that bar performance. Taylor Spears, of course, the former All-American at the Sooners and national beam champion herself. Nicole Lehrman, the junior from Austin, Texas, third up.
Nicole is ranked 23. And you can see why, again, not quite the stick. And, you know, I think part of that, they are relaxed. And, you know, sometimes when you, Bar, you know this, when you're competing with the very best, like they were at UCLA, you bring your best game.
Good point. Bree Showers led them off with a 9.85. Alex Marks had a 9.825. So good scores for the Sooners in the first rotation. But let's just be honest here right from the beginning. They're not expected to have much of a challenge from North Carolina today in terms of the team title. Oklahoma is dominating nationally, and so they are the #1 team in the country. So the goal today, talking to Coach KJ Kindler yesterday, was, hey, she said, I want my fans to have a good time. She said, I want the crowd to have fun. I want to tell all their friends to bring all their buddies and come to the next meet, because her real focus here is not only are they #1, but she said, we need to fill Lloyd Noble. And you've been talking about this a long time, Kelly. They are the #1 team in the country, and they deserve that kind of a respect from the fans here. Come out and cheer on the #1 team.
Well, you're exactly right, Bart. What KJ has brought to Oklahoma is how it exemplifies play like a champion today. And I'm just calling out all fans to come support the greatest women's athletic team at OU right now. And they deserve it, so come on out.
Good point. North Carolina continues on the bars here now.
Morgan Lane is such a treat to watch. You're going to see her all day. She is in the all-around, and she's one of the first gymnasts at Carolina to score 39, and she is just a workaholic. And what the coach says about her that I love is that she smiles, she's gracious, she's your ideal athlete.
I think this is interesting. Both of her parents graduated from Duke, and yet she walked on to North Carolina and eventually earned a scholarship. All right, athletes to watch, of course, and one of them is this young lady right here. Brenna Dahl had a 10 last week at UCLA.
See if she can do it again.
Oh!
Just a little too much power. It's hard to bring a 10 every week, isn't it?
Yeah, but she is normally money on those landings. There's no question about it. But she is a remarkable athlete, because not only does she have the power, but she has just superb technique on everything that she does.
Well, that is what allows her to continue to do great on each event. You just if you want to see spot-on technique, watch Brenna Dowell.
Nicole Ehrman before her at a 9.875. Caitlin Hedelin will be next, the senior from Chesapeake, Virginia, for the visiting Tar Heels.
Caitlin, she just loves the sport of gymnastics. She has a real strong body, and Taylor Spears told me that she has just been working uber hard to learn to control that and to use the right techniques to be able to find those landings, find the handstands. As you know, in gymnastics, that's what they're looking for on the uneven bars. The form, the hitting those handstands, sticking the landings.
Hedelin competes typically on vault, bars, and beam. She did so in every meet last year for the Tar Heels.
Even though you can see her struggling just a little bit, she can continue to push through, and that is from the strength that they have added this year for the Tar Heels. That's one thing that Coach Spears brought to the program, is to say we need to condition our athletes and make them a little bit stronger so they can last throughout the season.
That has been a difference maker for the Oklahoma Sooners, is that pre-season conditioning. Separation in preparation was the hashtag this year, SIP. All right, AJ Jackson, now she's coming up after Brenna Dowell got a 9.9 for her ball.
You know, I'm really hoping that AJ starts turning it on this season. She is so quick. Gosh, if she can just start nailing those landings, she has power. It just exudes from her. And so I just would love for her to really start nailing those landings. You can see she's trying. She has the height. She's looking. Oh, and just almost. She's on the cusp.
It's an interesting point in the season because there's excitement for the first few meets, and then we're in that little lull part of the season where you got to kind of grind it through and get through some good scores and build your averages up for the postseason. So it's too early to be focused on the postseason, and yet kind of the excitement of the first few meets has worn off, hasn't it?
That's right. And so you're right, they have to kind of push through it. But I also think that they're still looking for the ideal lineup, and that's what the coaches are doing. Sometimes you'll see a switch up in the lineup, maybe the middle two girls, or I'll notice that on balance beam. I kind of feel like there's another girl that should be leading off, but you know what? They're still trying to figure that out.
It's nice to have the depth, that's for sure. Grace Donahue now, the sophomore from Oregon, on the bars. This is really one of the events where she specializes.
She just has a beautiful body line, and look at her toe point. Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness, that was so beautiful. Right.
Wow. And you know what? I think she's shocked. I mean, she's like, wait a second, I'm never on the ground here.
She had the height, she had the form and technique. It looks like she just pitched it a little bit too far away from the bar, Kelly.
That's right. You know, they only have 30 seconds to remount, and I've noticed that earlier this year, there's been a couple times that the girls don't. Here you see it. Oh!
Man,
you know, maybe that
right
Dow just didn't get quite.
The great angle of it right here. Yeah, just didn't quite. Those hand guards have a sort of a leather dowel at the end of the guard, which kind of makes it, gives it a little extra grip, and she didn't quite get the dowel rod over the top of the bar before she swung through the bottom. So you lose a half a point for the fall and continue from there.
Well, and that makes it really hard to start building those scores. She's one of the girls that you're going to be counting on for the high score, and all of a sudden now you're going to have to drop this score. So
most of their scores in that 9.7 to 9.75 range to this point. So a real missed opportunity for North Carolina here, because they were hoping for a big score from one of their stars there. Maggie Nichols now for the Sooners on the vault. She'll be the last vaulter in this lineup. We'll have one exhibition after her.
Talk about a gal who can completely dial it in on the landings. Let's see if she does it again today. Just a tiny step. You know, I just think this is so typical of coming down off of that a two-trip road trip, being emotionally charged from being in UCLA and then coming back and having to, you know, perform again. I mean, it's hard to be on your very, very best at every meet. But she's still amazing.
She's coming after the 9.925. The high score so far for the Sooners on vault was AJ Jackson's. So expect a good score there and a solid rotation for the Sooners in the first of four. Maggie Nichols, the #1 gymnast in the country in the all-around. And right these days, she is exemplifying everything that is good about collegiate gymnastics on so many levels. So She is a superstar, and as we noted earlier, already having scored 8 perfect 10s, and she's just barely into her sophomore year.
Yeah.
That is just about as good as it gets. She literally could end up becoming one of the most accomplished collegiate gymnasts of all time.
Absolutely. I fully expect her to. When she first came here, I said, first off, I expect you to beat all of my records. and she kind of looked at me like, well, yeah. And she's doing it, and I'm real excited and proud of her.
Rain Gordon now wrapping it up for the Tar Heels on bars.
You know, Rain hasn't competed a lot this season. Just bummer. Okay, so that right there is a real downer, because they have to count a fall, and they were coming into this competition hoping for a 196, and that's going to make it incredibly difficult.
That's a good point. A 196 basically is 49 points on each event, and you typically in collegiate gymnastics you get 6 athletes to go. You count the best 5 scores, but because they have 2 falls, that means one of the fall scores will have to count. So a missed opportunity for sure in the first rotation for North Carolina. Okay, unfortunate for Rain Gordon, the sophomore from La Cañada, California.
Well, and that's unfortunate, but it is also a learning experience. I'd rather have it now, middle of season, give her the motivation to keep training hard, keep pushing for it, listening to the coaches, bringing her best, not only in meet day, but also in practice.
So that's going to wrap up the first of 4 rotations. The Sooners have finished up on the vault, and North Carolina looks like they're not doing an exhibition on the uneven bars, so the teams rotate. North Carolina will flip-flop, and they'll go over to the vault. The Sooners will go over to the uneven bars, where they are outstanding, just as they have been all year long. A great start for Oklahoma on the vault. Solid landings. And the Sooners, leading this one, will move to the uneven bars when we come back to Lloyd Noble Arena. A.J. Jackson had their high score there, a 9.925.
Sooners Sports TV is brought to you by Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut. Taco Mayo, fresh Mex. Get what you want, get what you need. Riverwind Resort, still the one. And Walden Cleaners, the quality and service you're looking for in your neighborhood cleaners since 1933. Sooner Sports TV personalities wardrobe is provided by Threads Menswear and Blush on Campus Corner. Hair and makeup provided by Studio Zen.
All right, let's take a look at this week's upcoming Sooner athletic events. There's a lot going on in Norman. You don't want to miss all the sports happening over the next week. Set now for the second rotation, and Meg's down with a familiar face. Taylor Spears, former national champion at OU, is now an assistant coach at North Carolina. Meg?
On the floor with former Sooner turned assistant coach for UNC, Taylor Spears. First and foremost, how is it being back inside the LNC?
Crazy. I love it. It's like I never left, actually.
What's the most important thing that you learned from Coach Kindler?
Oh my gosh, I can't just pick one. I think I learned what a team feels like. That atmosphere is so important, and I told my team that. I was like, competing at the LNC is the greatest feeling ever. So I'm really excited for them to experience this whole process.
Not only were you part of a national championship team for the Sooners, but you were an individual champion on beam. What do you feel like you can provide this UNC team?
Confidence. You know, it's all about believing that you can do it, believing you're the best, and actually, you know, taking that and doing it, which is not easy. I mean, competing beam is not easy for anyone. So I'm glad that I can use my experiences to help them.
Taylor, thanks so much.
Thank you, Megan.
All right, there is KJ Kindler in just her 12th season here. And, of course, the Sooners have won 3 of the last 4 NCAA championships. They shared their first title with Florida back in I guess it was 2014. What a thriller that was. But look at the other coaches that have come from OU that are contributing. Not only Taylor Spears, but last couple of weeks ago we saw Kristen Smith, who coaches at Iowa State. Chris Brooks, part of the men's program, is now the assistant coach for women's gymnastics at Nebraska. So they're all first-year assistant coaches. So the Sooners are spreading some of their expertise around the country, Kelly.
It's pretty cool to see. Not only is she creating great athletes, but great coaches, great people. That's one thing that I know that Joe Casuglian would be proud of.
All right, so in this second rotation, the visitors, North Carolina, on the vault. What a great start there with a very solid Yurchenko full from Madison Hargrave, the junior from Indiana.
That's exactly what they were looking for. You know, their motto this year is UNC 212. Wonder what that means. Well, it's boiling point. So they want to bring that much enthusiasm and to be boiling over into their gymnastics.
Thanks for clarifying. I forgot what the boiling point is. A.J. Jackson now for the Sooners on the bar. She is their leadoff this year, and she is just one of those kind of people you can sort of just rely on pretty much all the time. Now, this is kind of a stock routine in many ways, but for some reason, A.J. Jackson is just ready to go. You just give her the call.
That's right, and that's one athlete you always want on your team is to just point at them and say, go. And they obey, and they know exactly what to bring, and she did it.
So the Sooners had a 49.475 on bars, on vault, excuse me, in the first rotation, and they're quite deep on this event as well.
Well, that's what's so amazing is that they have two co-national champions. They've hit all kinds of kids who can bring a 10-0. So we'll see that next. But right here, we're going to focus on UNC.
Morgan Lane.
She's that gymnast that we kept talking about. Oh, what an interesting, what a great and exciting vault to see. It's so creative, the full on into the back pike off. I love that because
pretty rare in college you see something different than
right.
a Yurchenko style.
Well, and I think probably because she's so tiny, you know, to get all that power. I mean, that's a neat way to separate yourself from the other girls when you can't get as much height, usually being that tiny.
So she is a solid all-arounder, the senior out of Columbus, Indiana. And we go back to Anastasia Webb, who we've discussed as our Sooner to watch today. Just a young freshman, but she has really impressed us with her cool head. Now, she's being rested a little bit, not doing the all-around today because she's dealing with a little tendonitis in one of her knees.
Well, again,
oh, nice.
Love it. Push. That shows experience. She did not. She did not freak out. I mean, that's that poise that we've been talking about. Like, are you serious? Are you a freshman? She didn't panic on top of the bar.
No, you did, but she didn't. You kind of said push, and you were right. Your coaching side came out. Look at that. That's exactly what you do right there.
I couldn't help it. It's just like, that's the way it is.
You know, that double front dismount is risky in collegiate gymnastics. They're so hard to stick, but she seems to have the knack for it, for sure.
Love that vault. Yurchenko lay out half. She was able to find that landing. Alexis Allen.
So they have for Hargrave a 9.75 for North Carolina on vault. Morgan Lane, we saw her vault 9.725. So.
Well, I bet this vault right here is going to go up. You can see this. Look, great body line. It looks like she's going to do a full, and then she just kind of spots the landing and lands it. It's great. She likes it too.
Stephanie Couture now.
You know, Stephanie's been that solid rock for the Sooners in so many different ways. We started a couple years ago, and Coach Kindler just put her in on bars and said, you know, go. And she pulled off a 9.9, 9.95.
So far in this event, A.J. Jackson a 9.85, and the same for Anastasia Webb.
One thing I know the coach is going to be happy with is how the team is hitting those handstands. Love how they're stuck. Nice.
And she gets accolades from Lou Ball, the husband of K.J. Kindler, and Lou has done a superb job with this team on bars, and you might remember back to last year's NCAA championship when they stuck all 6 landings. It was sick. It was just one of those kind of things that the Sooners never looked back, and he's got a knack for, even though they don't necessarily focus on landings all the time, they have good technique and they land them.
Check out that ball. Lovely. Yurchenko full and a half. It's in a tuck position, which is unusual, but it's a 10-0 start value, just like the layout full and a half is.
Caitlin Hedeland.
Great job. You know, she had fallen once this year, so it's good to have her hit her routine and get the confidence back at that ball.
Brenna Dowell, she is set to go on the bars now.
This is what kills me about the Sooners is that they can have, there's 3 girls, there's actually 4 who can hit a 10. 3 have already hit a 10 so far.
Stephanie Couture before her had a 9-9. Oh my goodness.
Again,
they
experience.
really are challenging those handstands. I've never seen that much courage on handstands in college gymnastics.
You know what? This is a great meet to do that because they're not holding back and they're saying, look, we know we have some room to play, and so we're going to push the envelope, which is exactly what they need to do to give them that experience to say, yeah, I can hit the handstand when I really need to.
That is a good point because by postseason, when they're going against Florida and LSU and Utah and some of the other top contenders, UCLA, handstands are going to matter, and they're really pushing the envelope today.
Lovely, great job. I love that they're really bringing it in competition. The warm-up rotation on vault for the Tar Heels was a little sketchy, if you ask me. I mean, just they weren't showing their best, and I love it when they bring their best in the competition. You don't want to win warm-ups, you know. Look at that. She spots that landing stage.
I love the look. Madison Nettles. How about that? Good job. They're recovering nicely after a little bit of an unfortunate start on the uneven bar. So, Nicole Lehrman on the bars for the Sooners. She's one of the co-national champions. There was a 6-way tie at last year's NCAA championship, and she and Maggie Nichols, 2 Sooners that earned a piece of that title. Wow, you're right. Look at these just aggressive
Really
handstands.
playing for the handstand, aren't they? That one might have been just a touch shy, but you know, after what she did on the low bar, wow. It's so exciting to see. This is what's so aggravating is that I'm like, okay, if you're watching this on TV right now, you're only getting half the enjoyment of our sport. So, I mean, if you would come down here, you could see that chalk dust fly. You could feel the emotion. And look at this fly.
Wow.
I mean,
Nice job. Kasia Heislip.
They're really coming back. I mean, that's the sign of a true champion is, okay, we started off bars a little rough, you know, had to kind of fall, and instead of holding back, they're just going all out.
Kasia Hislop, the sophomore from Concord, Massachusetts, did her club training at Brescians Gymnastics, of course. That is the club that produced people like Allie Raceman and Lisa Sacramone. Great job. That was an outstanding ball for North Carolina. And here is, of course, one of our Sooners to watch, Maggie Nichols, superb on this event as well. Lehrman scores in 9.925.
A little close on her release move. I mean, it's so hard because she's always so great that all of a sudden it raises the bar for even curl. I mean, if she's not exactly perfectly spot on, she actually gets a critique instead of, you know, 10 years ago she'd been a complete superstar. Now she knows she has to really bring it. You know, that was great, but it wasn't super great. That's not Maggie Nichols great, but it's still, that's what makes this team so amazing. They have the depth, and they have the expectation of what it takes to be number 1. Kind of saved that landing, didn't she?
Maggie Nichols doesn't want to be rested. Sometimes Coach Kindler says, you know, I'd like to just sort of rest her because she does have some knee issues. And it's interesting that she said, no, I want to be in every meet and I want to do all around every time. So she is all in for the Sooners as Bree Showers gets set to do an exhibition. As I see the one and only Joe Castiglione in the background, the athletic director, esteemed athletic director from the University of Oklahoma, huge supporter of this program. Now, Bree Shower is doing an exhibition, meaning that she'll get the experience of competing here. She'll get a score, but this score won't count towards the team total. Maggie Nichols was the last one that'll count in the final score.
Amazing full twisting. Katja, rarely see that, not only nationally but internationally. Perhaps we'll get another look at it. And look at her landing, or her height and her dismount. This is great. Bree has just really come on this year. I mean, you know, you don't really know when an athlete is hurt her freshman year, and you think, well, you know, is she really going to make that comeback? She has proved herself all day long. She could fully be an all-arounder at some point. Generally, 3 events for the Sooners.
Maggie Nichols' score was in. It's a 9.95. So the Sooners impressive again in the second of 4 rotations. So we have hit the halfway point in this dual meet. The Sooners are rolling over the Tar Heels, who are visiting from North Carolina. Exciting gymnastics in Norman today. #1 team in the country in full display. And when we come back, the Oklahoma Sooners will go to the balance beam. North Carolina to the floor.
Thanks to Buick GMC, we are professional grade. And Love's, clean places, friendly faces. Sooner fans, do you know a local teacher that is dedicated to quality like our friends at PDQ Restaurants? Visit eatpdq.com/PDQ teacher to nominate them today.
It's time for your Air Comfort Solutions scores here at the halfway point in today's contest between the #1 Oklahoma Sooners and the visiting North Carolina Tar Heels. Sooners have some impressive scores so far. 99.05, which is a 198 pace, which is the ultimate goal in women's collegiate gymnastics. And you see their scores on both vault and bars, 49.475 and 49.575. I have to say, Kelly, between you and me, scores seem a little bit inflated tonight, and there's a lot of happy people in this building because, you know, the scores seem to be coming quite easily for the Sooners, who in most cases deserve them, but they seem a little bit generous tonight. All right, now Meg had a chance to talk to Coach Tom Haley a little bit, and Tom is a part of that powerhouse coaching staff along with Lou Ball and KJ Kindler. Let's go to Meg.
Bart, thanks so much. Tom, very happy with the start of this meet with the first 2 events. Not necessarily pleased with all the landings on vault, but really happy with the landings on bars and the Sooners finding those handstands. I asked him, how do you make that transition and that switch to really honing in into those landings? He said, it's a completely different event and a completely different mindset. He said, vault is so powerful that when you go to bars, it's more controlled and it's all about the body shape. So completely different event, mindset, but really happy to the start of this meet.
All right, the Sooners finishing up their warm-ups on the balance beam, and this has been the event that has really served the Sooners well over this last decade. And take a look at this. You know, 197, I mentioned the 198 pace, but 197, any really decent team in collegiate gymnastics is shooting for a 197 plus. Look at this, the Sooners have been over 197 or higher in 34 consecutive meets. 10 of those scores have been 198 or higher, which is the kind of score that wins a national championship. So LSU is next up with 20 plus straight 197 scores. And as you see, KJ Kindler kind of calming Stephanie Couture down before she'll lead them off on the beam. Really, Kelly, talk about the connection between coaches and athletes right prior to beam, because some athletes like to be sort of wound up and some need to be calmed down. How do you find that right blend?
Well, I think that just a matter of experience of watching your athlete in competition, watching them in practice. I myself needed to calm down, and so a lot of times I would actually sit down to lower my heart rate. And I think that's kind of what she's trying to do, is say, come back to me. Leave the crowd out of this. Come back and just do what you normally do in practice. Stephanie is one of the gymnasts that she's that start-off gymnast on beam, and Coach Kindler's put her in every meet so far as her go-to #1. But it wouldn't surprise me if Bree Showers did not end up being that person either. It could be either one, and that's the place I personally feel that Coach Kindler is looking to find who's going to be my go-to when it comes to national championship day.
Good point. Couture, the senior from Phoenix, Arizona, Big 12 specialist of the week. He was superb as a consistent performer last year. Super calm.
I love that she brings that because, as you know, that's so important starting off on balance beam is to relax the rest of the team. And earlier in the season, it was a little iffy, I thought. She didn't quite know for sure if this is the role that she was going to have. And she's come a long way. I'm starting to see that her confidence build as being the leader. Love this dismount. Oh, nice. Does the full. Last year didn't always throw in that full. And I love that she's going for it this year. She's really starting to make a name for herself. Look right here. It's a gainer, full off the end. I know a lot of guys in high school used to try that off the diving board.
Mine didn't end that well, so yeah, very good. All right, to the floor now. We're in the third of 4 rotations, so the visiting team goes to the floor and the home team on the beam. So here are the Tar Heels. First up, Madison Hargrave.
One thing I noticed, Bart, is that Tar Heels, the best event is full exercise. They're ranked 12th in the country, and OU's best event is the balance beam, and so they're both doing their best events right now. This is a great rotation to watch.
These two teams separated by 1.8, which is quite a lot in women's collegiate gymnastics. We talked to Coach Galvin before the meet, said, what are your real objectives here? And as you mentioned, they don't really focus too much on scores, but he said a 196 would be something we're completely capable of if we can hit, but they got off to a rough start on bars, but came back very nicely on the vault, so maybe they can get back on track to that metric that they were looking for.
Well, and I think also anytime you're at a weight dual meet, you end on balance beam. And so although they're on floor right now, they know that balance beam is coming up. And so all of these are really tests for them going into postseason.
This particular event, North Carolina, is their highest ranked event in the country for them. They're 12th on floor nationally. As a team, they're 33rd, and this is their 3rd straight away meet. So you mentioned it's tough competing on the road because you do finish on the beam and you're not familiar with the circumstances. So it's a challenge. So they're in a rough part of the season right now.
Well, and I think also that's why he said bring it to 212. You know, because you have to bring that energy because you don't have the fan support as much here as you would at your home base.
3 showers up for the Sooners on beam. Newcomer of the week, as we indicated, even though she's a sophomore. Incredible performance last week.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me, Bart, if she's going to be a 10-0 girl one day. It's hard when you're second up in the rotation to pull off a 10, but she is so consistent.
9.875 was the leadoff score for Stephanie Couture.
One thing I love about Bree is that, you know, she's 5'7", and she is so in tune with her body, and she's so fit. And then a great combination, jump pull right into the backhand swing down.
She's not always in proper position to connect those, is she?
I know, and she just pulls it back in line and then goes, and that just shows experience, and again, not panicking or freaking out. Front toss. Whoa, she's so off on that, and she just pulled it right on. I was leaning over here in my chair trying to get her back on the beam, and she had it all along. No problem. Nice.
She had a 9.975 on beam at UCLA last week, and there were 2 10s as well. So that was quite a historic performance for the Sooners.
You know it's good when Coach Kindler smiles at you and gives you the big hug and high fives, and she has some pretty high expectations. To make a beam lineup at all here for Oklahoma is tough. This is Lily Dean, and she has got those wrestling legs also.
Freshman from North Andover, Massachusetts, also a gymnast who did her club training at Brest-Jans Gymnasium.
Look at that power, front right to double tuck. You know, I asked Coach Spears, you know, if she did all the choreography. I just assumed that when she went there, but she and Marie Dinek also, they split those roles on floor exercise.
You talk about how this program is developing. We mentioned Derek Galvin in his 36th year, but this is really the first year that North Carolina has a fully funded program with 2 paid assistant coaches and full scholarships, a new facility. And so he's been digging a long time trying to get some attention in North Carolina, where it's all about basketball, the home of Michael Jordan.
Right.
And yet he's finally hit a critical mass where he's got a fully funded program, fully scholarship program, and now they're setting the stage to be contenders. Nice.
I can't get over the depth of their floor tumbling. It's very high.
They have significant contributions from walk-ons, which he's quite proud of. Some of these young ladies just walked onto the team because they wanted to go to North Carolina and then eventually worked their way into earning a scholarship.
Well, and one good point is not everybody can qualify to get into North Carolina academically. So they're not only great athletes, but great students.
Carly Woodard up for the Sooners. Freshman from Overland Park, Kansas. Bree Showers had a 9.9 after Stephanie Couture's 9.875. So the Sooners already at 9.9, and they're just 2 routines into a 6th routine lineup.
That explains that average of a 9.89. It's just almost unheard of. One thing to note is that theoretically they have 3 gymnasts, freshman gymnasts in the lineup on balance beam. And one thing you might note is, you know, Natalie Brown's not in there because she had hurt her knee, and so she's really on the cusp of coming back, probably another week or so. But for them to step up, I mean, Coach Kindler does an amazing job of bringing these kids in and just saying, you know, giving them the confidence and the skills and the choreography to be one of the best in the country.
Well, and in fact, you know, it's not always roses. I mean, look, Woodard, his scores have ranged from 9.95 this year to a 8.975. So they seem to keep digging even when things aren't spot on.
I'm sure that's a relief for her, just to give her a boost of confidence. Nice combination aerial right into back full and a stuck landing. It's Michaela Robinson. She's a sister. She's a gymnast at Cal. She is, of course, a product of Kelly Hill's gymnastics school.
Sophomore from Virginia. Last year's season, she competed in vault in every meet and floor in all but 2 occasions. I thought it was interesting. It says in her bio her earliest gymnastics memory was getting her kip at 4 years of age.
I thought that was interesting. I thought, who gets a kip at 4?
Yeah, she's really strong because that's a skill that normally comes when you're 9 or 10. So congratulations to the sophomore from Virginia. Wow.
I hope she didn't pay for that when she's about 50. Landed in the middle splits. It's fun to see the diversity of types of floor music. You know, a lot of college teams want that big popular music that's fun and loud, hip hop, and this is a little more, you know, just all around fun for any person watching gymnastics.
Michaela Robinson. So 3 pretty solid routines for North Carolina on floor. And as we mentioned, of the 4 events, this is the one where they're highest ranked nationally, 12th in the country. So nicely done. Nicole Lehrman gets set for OU.
It's the most relaxed I've seen her going into competition, just laughing and smiling.
Carly Woodard had a 9.9, so the Sooners have a 9.8, 7.5, and 2 9.9s. Lehrman, the junior from Austin, Texas.
From day one when she came to Norman, I was so impressed by watching her focus. She can seem to zone in like most can't. It's one thing I just love about her training. Front aerial, clean. One thing I love about their leotards is you can see the muscles in their back. And, you know, in gymnastics, a lot of times you just see these cute little bodies out there or some strength in their legs, and they're just so developed all over.
That's a good point. I mean, pound for pound, some of the strongest athletes in the world right here.
I kind of miss those back muscles.
Uh-oh. That's clever. You just kind of rewound that sequence, didn't she?
Be curious to see her timing. You know, if she's over time. Here she just, better get on. Nice.
You get 90 seconds to complete the routine.
Real smart gymnast right there. It's like, oops, missed my connection, need that bonus, can't get a 10 or start value of a 10 unless I go back and repeat it. So, impressive. Just to have the mental wherewithal to know to do that.
And for North Carolina on the floor, this is tiny little Morgan Lane, the senior. She's 35th in the country in the all-around, their highest ranked all-around athlete.
You know, she is such a fan favorite. She's competing at home. They actually have bobbleheads in the stands for her. It's not fun. Now her little body, you can definitely see all the strength and muscles in her legs. But I just love her attitude. You can see her attitude just by watching her facial expression.
The only gymnast last year on their team to compete in the all-around in every meet.
So pleasant just watching her. It makes you just feel joyful when you're watching her gymnastics.
I did mention earlier that both her parents graduated from Duke, and so Coach Galvin used to give her parents a hard time because initially she walked down to North Carolina and said, does it kill you to pay for your daughter to go to North Carolina when you both went to Duke? And of course she eventually earned a full scholarship. Good for her.
You know, it's a little bit frustrating when you're that tiny. I mean, I know she's under 5 foot. It doesn't appear that she has as much height. And, you know, I mean, she's going just as high as the other girls, but you just don't seem to notice it because of her height. What a doll.
Athletes to watch include this young lady, Anastasia Webb, had a 10 last week. An amazing performance away at UCLA.
So, go ahead. I was just going to ask, you know, how was the energy in the arena? I mean, not only were the Sooners getting 10s, but UCLA was getting 10s. I mean, can you describe that? You were there. What was that like?
There were 6 perfect 10s in the competition, probably the most I've ever seen in a meet. And 9,000 people on their feet having the time of their lives on Super Bowl Sunday. So it was quite an experience. And under enormous pressure, the Sooners pulled out that away victory.
You can see she had a slight little bobble, but she stayed cool, was able to make the connection.
Nicole Lehrman got a 9.85, so even though she re-racked her combination sequence, the judges did note it.
Well, it's better than the alternative of not having that value.
Okay.
Nice. once again, and she hits a great routine, and it wasn't perfect, but you know, it's a builder for her to say, look, I got this, I deserve my spot in the lineup.
Ranked number 9 in the country on balance beam, the freshman from Morton Grove, Illinois.
Well, and to know that you have a freshman second to last, you have a sophomore last in the lineup. I mean, like I said before, to make the OU lineup on balance beam it's slap difficult.
Madison Nettles now for North Carolina.
Watch this tumbling pass. She has got some impressive tumbling. Nice double pipe.
Scores are good over here for North Carolina. We did note that this is one of their best events. All the scores are 9.8 or above, and Morgan Lane had a 9.875.
You can tell that this routine is really choreographed for the audience to move to. Watch this, whip right into double full. It's creative, you don't see that too often. I think that's one thing that the coaches, the new assistant coaches are going to bring to North Carolina is some new ideas and new creativity on every event, not just floor exercise.
You mentioned Taylor Spears, now assistant coach at North Carolina, along with Marie K. Stenik. Both of these young ladies competed in the 2014 NCAA championship, so they are both really just freshly out of competition and going to bring a fresh perspective here.
Well, Coach Galvin said they've already got to be such good friends, and so I just think that's so important, is to help bring unity to that team. It starts at the top with leadership and having females consistently there to help guide them and exemplify what that looks like.
Maggie Nichols.
And here's the star.
Anastasia Webb's score 9.925. As we noted earlier, Maggie Nichols has scored 10, 8 times, 4 of them on this event beam.
One thing I love about Maggie, she never really know which routine she's going to pull out because she has such a depth of skills. One routine she might throw her punch front, she might do a round of double back dismount. I mean, I've noticed, you know, this year they've decided to go with that easier dismount, but I know that they're saving her legs and ankles and knees for post-competition.
Even that was a little short of rotation, and yet she's so experienced. There's no bobble at all, is there?
Right. I mean, you can see it all over her face. Watch this in the split, over splits. I have to admit, I miss watching that round of double tuck because she could stick it. Oh, like I was saying. Oh, you want a front tuck this meet? Sure, I'll throw in my front tuck.
That's terrific.
I wonder what dismount we're going
Nailed
to
it.
do, you know? Okay, we'll stick with it.
Uh-oh. Expect another huge score. You never know what you're going to get. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
She didn't need to throw that front somersault.
I wonder if she was even going to do it and if she maybe made the decision while she was up there. Sure.
Well, this is certainly one of the advantages of OU being a heavy favorite today. You noted earlier, Kelly, rightly, that they're pushing the handstands on bars for the experience, maybe testing a little difficulty here that they might not have otherwise done.
Right. I love that dismount. I don't know if you noticed that. Her spotting the beam right for that last half to be able to stick her landing. Oh, guess what?
Now, Kazia, his slop up for UNC, but the people in the background are on their feet because I think they see a 10, and the 10 is in for Maggie Nichols, her second week in a row, and the 9th perfect 10 of her young career. Wow.
It kind of leaves you without words. I'm like, really, what else are you gonna do? You know, I guess it's the Gym Slam all-in-one meet.
Unbelievable. Kazia Hislop, the sophomore from Concord, Massachusetts. known for the contributions she makes on floor and vault, as well as beam.
I love this routine. She has these long, beautiful lines, and she knows how to use them.
Now here's a young lady who was born in London, England. Her father, a professional soccer player, so she's lived all over the world. Everyone in her family has tri-citizenship.
And she certainly hasn't let the crowd affect her. Look at that. And nice double tuck. High, easy.
Nice job. North Carolina doing a superb job on floor in this third rotation. Excellent. Their scores range between 9-8 and 9-8-7-5, and expect another strong one there. Brennan Dow for the Sooners now in an exhibition role once again for the experience, but the scores are in for the Sooners on beam. And of course that 49-6 on beam, capped by the 10.0 from Maggie Nichols in that rotation.
I loved the fact that Brenna is doing balance beam. It's almost like people have written her off on balance beam, and here she has gained so much confidence this year. She has happiness in the way she performs, her genuine smile, and so it's great to see her going to see if oh, I love that full twisting back handspring. Nobody does that. So nice.
You can see KJ Kindler sort of prancing in the background. She likes it too because, you know, they're going for some stuff today. This is cool. They're taking advantage of this low pressure situation to entertain the crowd and to add some difficulty. Well done.
Well, you know what? It also makes everyone in the country watch and say, look, we're not done, you know? I mean, we got more in our bag.
What a nice icing on the cake after an impressive third rotation on the beam for the Sooners. Brenna Dahl delivering in an exhibition routine.
Right. Everyone would take that routine. Can I have that on my team? Beautiful. And you can see all the teammates just so happy for her, too. I've seen her struggle sometimes in practice on balance beam, so that was really a joy to watch.
Lauren Wiesel now, senior from Carlsbad, California.
She really knows how to perform and have fun out there.
She is also in an exhibition role here for the experience. You see Coach Galvin in the background cheering her on. You can see him smiling because after a rather rough start in the first couple of rotations, well, first rotation on bars, North Carolina did a superb job on vault and floor to get back into this.
Really shows something for them to not get rattled. Well, and it's good going in, knowing you know you're going into floor exercise, you know it's your best event. So it'll be curious to see how this rolls over when they go to balance beam. Sometimes it's helpful, Bart, I think, to get those jitters out by going to floor before you go to beam, so you can kind of just get out all that nervous energy. So this might be the case for them. Excellent routine.
All right, that wraps up the third of 4 rotations here at the Lloyd Noble Center. The Sooners with a solid lead after the balance beam, and of course a perfect 10, second week in a row for Mag's Got Swag, as they call her on her Twitter handle, Maggie Nichols.
She is so impressive. I just want the people out there knowing you're missing a 10. She almost brings one every meet. If she doesn't, another Sooner does.
She added that front somersault just for fun.
Look, spot.
And drilled the landing to give a highlight to the fans here in Lloyd Noble Center. All right, so the Sooners move to the 4th and final rotation. The floor exercise. When we come back, the Tar Heels go to the beam.
Thanks to our cornerstone sponsors, Anheuser-Busch, OU Medicine, the OU Extended Campus, and our community partners, Landers Auto Group, Devon Energy, and OU Medicine.
Back at the Lloyd Noble Center, I'm Bart Connor, along with Kelly Garrison Funderburk. And, of course, all eyes this week have been focused on Korea. Pyeongchang, of course, is the host of the 2018 Winter Olympics. It's been thrilling to watch that, Kelly, but it brings to mind you, young lady, because it was only a few years ago in 1988 that you were competing in Korea, and we have some great memories. Thank you for sharing them with us. It's I was commentating on you only 30 years ago, Kelly. What do you think back when you look back to these moments from Korea?
Oh, my goodness. I wish I had that body was my first thought. But second, you know, it was a dream come true. This is one of the reasons that I picked OU, is to be able to have the coaching staff to take me to the Olympic level, even in college, which was very foreign at that time. And so having Becky Switzer as my coach was a great way to could still compete internationally, and then competing in the NCAA gave me the confidence, because we competed every week, and it gave me the confidence.
That's a good point.
So when I competed internationally, I knew I could hit.
Well, congratulations again on your spectacular career.
Thank
and
you.
only a few years ago in your Olympic moment, Kelly. All right, let's go down to Meg.
Bart, thanks. Today is a very special day inside the Lloyd Noble Center because the special spectators are here, and it's a nonprofit organization that Oklahoma has partnered with for over 10 years, and children who are very ill and spend a lot of time in the hospital, well, they get to spend all day with the Sooners here today. They get a behind-the-scenes tour of the locker rooms. They get to take photos with the gymnasts, and they even get VIP seating during the meet. And it goes both ways, this partnership, because the student athletes, they actually visit them in the hospital when the children are there. So just a really special day here today.
Thank you, Meg. What a treat for the fans here and for the special families. Really well done. All right, the Sooners, final touches on their fourth and final event, the floor exercise. The Sooners have a substantial lead here in the team competition, 148-65 over the visiting Tar Heels, 146-525. So an enthusiastic crowd on hand going through Boomer Sooner as we get set for the final rotation of this meet. Kelly, they call this the one-touch warm-up, and I guess this, you know, this has been around in the history of gymnastics forever. There's typically an hour-and-a-half or 2-hour warm-up pre-meet, but every meet, prior to going to that event, the vault or the beam, bars, whatever, each athlete gets 30 to 40 seconds for what they call the one touch. It's kind of the final brush up before you go compete. What did you draw from the warm up? Was it sometimes it was a good thing, or did it sometimes it start getting, you know, ideas in your head?
No. I thought it was a good thing, because you kind of build up in your head, you know, all that energy, like, oh, here comes the, you know, that next event. And so it's a great way to relax and kind of get that energy out, and kind of, it's the adrenaline. Just let it go and then go out and do what you know how to do.
So in this fourth rotation, North Carolina on the beam.
You know,
Caitlin Hedlund up first for them.
This has been a real challenge for Coach Spears. We talked before the competition, and I asked her, what is it that, you know, you're trying to bring? And of course she mentioned confidence, but also it's getting these gymnasts to relax under pressure. They did some really interesting ideas, like bringing a balance beam in to the arena just randomly, and said go compete. So that was a great opportunity for them to be in a pressure situation. I know that Coach Spears is trying a variety of techniques to help give them that confidence that she's used to having from when she competed here. All right, one down. We got it. That's what they want, is a stick first up.
There is Taylor Spears, member of the 2014 National Championship team for the Sooners and national champion on the beam individually.
You can only imagine how hard that would be to be, you know, one of the best on that event and not have the control, you know, when you're coaching, because you want to do it for them, and yet you've got to coach it. think one thing you're going to see on floor exercise today is they're more relaxed now after that beam set. They're excited. I saw that during warm-ups. Coach Kindler said, hey, we're here to entertain. We're here to show them. Wow, look at that.
I documented her story in an earlier meet. When she was training in the fall of her freshman year, they discovered a benign tumor in her forearm. So after it was lasered out and she was actually cleared to go ahead and start training on a very simple round-off skill in practice, just kind of pacing herself, she broke her arm. And so they had to put a rod in it last year and kept her out the entire season. So, you know, you just look at the potential of this young lady, and she just has everything.
She really does. I'm sorry, I got giggled. I got that sidetracked because she was really performing with, but she is bringing it this year. She's proving I'm worth it. Don't give up on me. And that's what I have seen from the get-go with her from the very first competition. Physically, mentally, and her attitude.
Today she had a 9.85 on vault and a 9.9 on beam, and expect a great score for that leadoff routine on floor.
That's the most relaxed I've seen her perform. It's like she's getting into the groove. I know I can do my routine now. Let's have fun and do it at the same time. You know, she didn't have that experience from last year. So for her, this is, you know, fifth meet of the season. This is really her fifth meet ever as a NCAA gymnast. Little stumble with her feet, but okay. Impressive. Nice front tuck. This is Lily Dean, and she has really come a long way, says Coach Spears.
She said her father is her most important motivator. She said he always gave her advice on how to mentally get through her gymnastics. So there will be some rough days, as we see. Balance beam is still 4 inches wide and 16 feet off the ground, and
or 16 feet long.
16 feet long and 4 feet off the ground, but I bet some days it feels 16
sure
feet
does,
off the
right?
ground.
Well, and you know what's kind of, oh, come on, get your poise back. It's a little frustrating is, like I said earlier, you know, they came off floor, hit fabulous set on floor, and now it's the balance beam, last event, and it's hard to not let those jitters get in the way. So having that fall is going to put pressure on the rest of the team, yet they need to be aggressive. Instead of holding back, they need to go harder. We'll see if that happens.
And their leadoff performer, Hedlund, had a 9.675. Brandon Dowell for the Sooners. Bree Showers led them off with a 9.9. Sooners on an impressive pace here at home today with a solid lead.
Watch this first tumbling pass. Not many people do this.
Oh, sweet.
I just can't get enough of her smile. It was so foreign as a freshman, and it's such a joy to see her really start enjoying her gymnastics. And you see that not just here at Oklahoma, you see that all over the country when the gymnasts really start coming into their own.
I was talking to Coach Kindler about Brenna, and she said she's really smart. She said she's a math major. She goes, who does that?
And gymnastics at the same time? Usually those don't go together. That would be too logical to be a risk taker. You can see her really starting spotting the crowd. I know that's one thing Coach Kindler works with them on, and it kind of takes the first couple of meets before they start engaging in that way. I also like to see that they're all staying in bounds, because that's been an issue in the past. Here's her tumbling pass again, that front double tuck, and then she has the twist just to be able to jump right out of it. Look at that, perfect.
Rain Gordon now on the beam for North Carolina. Lily Dean had a 9.15 after that fall.
Well, this routine is number one critical because it sets the pace, gets the team back on track.
This young lady did her club training at Waller's Gym Jam Academy in Santa Clarita, California. Chris Waller, who happens to be the associate head coach at UCLA, was her club coach.
Can't say enough about how she is bouncing back from the uneven bars where she didn't really have it. You know, she took a fall, and so that can rattle your confidence. And here she is performing like a true champion.
Her mom was in a punk band, her dad a graphic designer. In fact, they've created anti-stress coloring books for adults. I could use one of those.
Send me one, would ya?
Okay.
Or two.
Nice job,
Really
Rain
great,
Gordon.
really great.
The
I bet she's
sophomore.
going to be in that lineup consistently from now on.
From La Cañada, California. Nice job and a good recovery, as you mentioned, Kelly, from a disappointment earlier.
Here's that dismount again, a gainer pike. Why so close? She spots the landing, just nails it. Good.
Brenna Dowell's score is in. It's a 9.95 after the 9.9 from Showers. So the Sooners setting up for Evie Schofer, and she may go for a double layout. We don't know. Not tonight. They were talking about maybe giving her a shot at the double layout because she tends to go flying out of bounds on the double tuck.
Well, she sure did show control of this one, but maybe next meet on podium she'll be able to throw that double leg.
Next week, the Sooners are competing in the Perfect 10 Challenge up in Oklahoma City at the Cox Arena. They'll take on Nebraska there, and so we encourage the Sooner fans to come out and cheer on the Sooners at the Cox Arena. It will be on a podium, which is a lot like what they'll compete on at the national championships, and we'll be, of course, televising as well, so we'll be there.
Get some great experience because it is different, as you know, Bart, when you're competing on podium. It gives you an extra bounce, but also you have to learn how to land and relax on that landing so you don't pop out of bounds. It's fun to see Evie showing off and really having fun. Little short on her double pike. It's almost like she's the kid who needs to go all out, you know, just to give her that.
You're right.
It's hard to hold back sometimes.
You're right. That's what Coach Kindler was saying. She said she's got so much energy. Maybe we'll just let her go for the double layout, but perhaps they'll give her a shot at it next week. The double layout being the double backflip, the straight body position. It's higher level of difficulty and worth more value.
Well, and you see that with a lot of the other teams out there right now. If you're watching Florida and well, almost all the teams, Georgia, UCLA, you're seeing a lot of double layouts already early in the season.
Alexis Allen up. Rain Gordon had a 9.825, so good job after the mistake from Dean. So 2 of the 3 hit routines for North Carolina so far.
You know, it's interesting, Bart, when I competed, I don't remember them giving us a choice on, like, the background music. And I would have picked probably something a little more calm, but I mean, if you listen to this music, I'm like, I'd want a boogie up there on that balance beam. And
she competed in every meet on vault last season and all but 3 meets on beam. Here's a young lady who has a 4.0 GPA. So many of these young ladies are not only incredible athletes, but they are some of the finest student athletes in the country.
Impressive. I cannot say enough about this so far. I mean, I know that Coach Spears has got to be happy, and Galvin. You know, they say about Alexis, you know, either she is totally on or she's off. And so they've just got to slow her down, and it looks like she did it.
Anastasia Webb now for OU on floor.
Just love her intensity and her poise just starting out. She's so confident.
Evie Schofer had a 9.9, so the Sooners have 2 9.9s and a 9.95 going on floor. This is record pace, folks.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bart, you know, unlike bars where we felt like maybe there was a couple of gifts, a little high scores, they've earned it on balance beam and floor so far.
I think it's worth noting that the Sooners are reloading in many ways, because depending on the lineup that KJ Kindler puts out there, sometimes as many as half the routines are from people who were not in the competitive lineup last year. I just noticed in the background, one of the assistant volunteer coaches, Chase Capps, is one of the impressive 6 seniors who graduated out of the program, and yet the Sooners haven't seemed to miss a step. They're on record pace once again.
It is amazing. I wish I knew the magical answer, and I could bet everybody else does too. But she continues to make these athletes just ready to go. Doesn't matter what age they are, doesn't matter what where they came from. She can bring them in and just create this, you know, amazing athlete. And I know it's not just her, but the whole staff. It's impressive.
Very polished team the Sooners are. Kazia Hislop now. See the scores there for North Carolina. Alexis Allen in 9.875. So 3 very solid scores here. Where it's 6 up, 5 scores count towards the team total. So they can drop that score, 9.15 from Dean.
These are some good scores. If they just keep the next 2. Beautiful lines. See her hips rise, full extension all the way to the toe point. You know, she had a previous elbow injury, and you know, to come back from that and just perform like no problem. And a stuck landing, I love it.
Yeah, Taylor Spears happy about it. I'm sure she feels a little extra tension because, you know, she under the tutelage of KJ Kindler, and now she's bringing her team back. She's only been with them since about last August.
Right.
And so must be really proud in front of KJ that her beam team is doing a heck of a job. Back to the floor now. This is interesting. Maggie Nichols, we weren't sure if she was going to go on floor exercise or whether it was going to be A.J. Jackson. But Maggie's going, and my goodness, does she have an all-around score going. 9.95 was the score for Webb. Oh, she's out of bounds.
Again, that's one of those things. I need to do something a little bit harder. And, you know, in practice, it's easy to say, just hold back, do your double tuck. But you get that adrenaline in competition, you know. It made you think, ooh, I love that. I love that step out.
And Nichols is one of those athletes they're resting because she had those microfracture surgeries on her knee on the off season just to give her knee a chance to heal a little bit more. So, like you're right, not necessarily doing the most difficult opening tumbling pass, but she doesn't need it right now.
But, you know, I bet next weekend, because they're going to be on podium, you're going to see a different skill set being performed by the team. That's just my guess, but I certainly would want to as an athlete because you have that extra lift and you want the experience on podium.
Podium, of course, is a 3-foot riser, like a staging system that they use at the Worlds and the Olympics, and that's how they'll compete at the national championship. So a lot of these gymnasts are eager to try to get on a podium at some time during the regular season because that's how the big meet of the year will be decided, on that kind of surface.
All right, great routine. Salute to the crowd.
All right, she's the 5th of 6 Sooners. A.J. Jackson will wrap it up for OU on the floor exercise. Just a little overcooked, this easy tumbling run for her.
Well, you can see why she's also number 4 in the country on floor exercise. Her lowest ranking, I might add.
You can step on the line on floor exercise. You just can't quite go over. It's a little bit like tennis.
Watch this mount. Fantastic, beautiful. Kind of reminds me of a Shannon Miller move. Press handstand right into layout. That is very difficult.
You see the score for Kaja Hislop, a 9.9. So right now, North Carolina really doing a heck of a job on beam. They'll replace that 9.15 from Dean if they can get a complete hit routine from Lane here.
Which will also give them a season high. That's unique. Cabriole right into a side aerial, side summy. Probably depends on the day. And it's a hit routine.
How about that?
Love it, stay.
Not only for North Carolina, but for that coach right there, Taylor Spears. A victorious return to the Lloyd Noble Center with a very impressive team on beam, Kelly.
Absolutely, and having had the fall and to come back and to pull it together, that's telling me that what Taylor Spears is doing with the mental training there is working.
Well done. Okay, A.J. Jackson, the final performer now for the Sooners on the floor. This is a mysterious routine coming after Maggie Nichols. The 9-8 for her after that step out of bounds.
I'm really hoping that AJ starts just having another step out. Just to put it all together, I feel like she's just slightly off, just a tiny bit. And, you know, hopefully she's going to bring it postseason or later half of the season. Wish I could move this fast. I love her energy and her twitch of muscles. And that's what is so cool about the choreography from Coach Kindler is it can vary so much. I'm gonna try that later. You know that fall thing? See Maggie coaching in the back or cheering in the background, and that's one thing that is so rock on for the Sooners is that they have that camaraderie. They love one another. They care about each other because they know this. They can't win a national championship without each other.
Okay, we saw her stumble a little bit on her final tumbling runs the last couple of weeks, and she drilled that one. So A.J. Jackson finishes up for Oklahoma with a superb tumbling performance.
So here's that last tumbling pass. Double pike. Just a little bounce off the from the springs on the floor, but she still managed to land it just fine.
Riley Dewhurst is doing an exhibition for UNC. Their scores are all in. They did a nice job on balance beam. Dewhurst, the freshman from Las Vegas. I think this is interesting about her. Both of her parents performers from Cirque du Soleil. She said someday she'd like to perform in Cirque du Soleil. A lot of gymnasts end up in Cirque.
That's true. You know, I read, which I couldn't fathom this, her grandfather was one of the oldest members of Cirque du Soleil. I'm like, wow. Again, this is very impressive too because it's good to show that we have depth. To have the UNC does so they have someone to pull from if they need it.
How about that? What a great job. For a rough start on the uneven bars, North Carolina got it together and finished exceptionally strong on vault, floor, and balance beam. So good job for the Tar Heels. They'll finish well behind the Sooners in the team standings today. But an important moment for North Carolina to come back so strong in this dual meet competition. All right, when we come back, we'll give you the final scores, and we'll have a chance to visit with Coach KJ Kindler and the #1 Sooners. And welcome back in the Lloyd Noble Center here in Norman. Here is your final match stats brought to you by Taco Mayo Fresh Max. Oklahoma Sooners, a 198-1-5. And I know they're thrilled with that score. And the visiting Tar Heels, a 195-7-5, just 25 thousandths of a point short of their goal. But after a rough start on the bars, they came back strong and finished superbly. So another win for the Sooners here in the Lloyd Noble Center. And look at those scores. 49-4-7-5 on vault, 49-5-7-5 on bars, 49-6 on beam, capped off by the perfect 10. from Maggie Nichols, and floor exercise a 49.5. Anything 49.5 and up is world class. Now let's take a look at the road ahead for the Sooners. As we mentioned earlier, next Friday night, February 16th, make sure you get up to the Cox Arena in Oklahoma City. It's the Perfect 10 Challenge. The Sooners will take on Nebraska there. And then there are the other meets that are at home here at Lloyd Noble. 23rd of February, West Virginia, Michigan on March 3rd and March 9th. It's a quad meet with Arizona, Arkansas, and Denver. But next Friday, it's OU Nebraska at the Cox Arena. We hope to see everybody there. Let's go down to Meg. She's with Coach KJ Kindler.
The Kelly Garrison Gymnast of the Media Award as chosen by Bart, thanks so much. KJ, a 198 at Florida, a 198 at UCLA, another 198 tonight. How impressed have you been with the Sooners?
Oh, very impressed. I mean, today you could see in warm-up, big energy, big vaults, big floor. I actually was concerned about their control on those landings, but they came out with it today. It's hard to compete on a Sunday, too, I think, as the rest of the country competes on Friday and Saturday, and watching everyone go. So they kind of knew what they had to do tonight, and they came up with it.
How much mental strength does it take for freshman Carly Wood to bounce back on beam after a fall last week?
Yeah, I mean, that was huge for her, and I told her before she went, all I care about is that you're aggressive. Because when you have a mistake, often you get more cautious and careful up there, and you do not want to be careful when you do beam. It's the most aggressive event of the four, and if you go up there holding back at all, bad news bears. So I'm really proud of her. She was very aggressive and nailed it.
Maggie Nichols, another 10 on beam. How difficult is that to go back to back?
I knew that one. That one was amazing, and last week she didn't do her front, and this week she did, and we're kind of interchanging that in and out. That's a very difficult skill, and you could see by the way she sharply finished that she was going to nail the rest. And I'm not surprised, because every time Maggie goes, it could be a 10.
This team has already faced Super 6 caliber teams, but looking forward to next week, how does the competition next week, the Perfect 10 Challenge, really get you guys ready for postseason?
Yeah, Nebraska is a great team. So they're powerful. We definitely have to match them on vault and floor, but other than that, we're on podium for the first time, so we get to feel what it's like to be at nationals, NCAA championships, and have that experience is absolutely invaluable.
KJ, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations to the Sooners. Thank you, Meg and KJ Kindler, the third 98-plus in a row for the Sooners. As she mentioned, Florida, at UCLA, and now here at home. Pretty impressive, Kelly.
You can't argue with that. I mean, they don't only bring it away, they bring it at home. They can bring it every time, and if you're not home, then you're missing out. So we hope for you to come next time. We hope to see you at the meet coming up this Friday.
All right, we had several highlights, and of course, we always seem to focus on Maggie Nichols. I mean, she's just a sophomore. 8 times in her career, she has scored perfect 10s, 4 of them on balance beam, and this is the routine of the night brought to you by Loves.
So impressive that she threw the punch front right here, nailed it. Stuck the landing as usual. Watch her spot. She sees the ground and perfect. And she knew it. It was right on the money.
Second week in a row, perfection on the beam for Maggie Nichols. And of course, she's also the all-around champion. So the Chewy's Tex-Mex all-around champion, Maggie Nichols, had quite an all-around going. Good start on vault and bars. A perfect 10 on beam and a slight bobble on a floor landing. Otherwise, it could have been another record-setting score, Kelly.
That's right, and you know what? I think all the people in the country are watching. They're watching to say, is she going to ever make a mistake? You know, I mean, she has little ones, but she is a champion through and through.
You see her scores across the board, 9.925, 9.9510. And a 9-8, but the Sooners pacing themselves because, of course, they're going to be focused now on not only getting through the rest of the regular season, but, you know, let's just project ahead. I've seen LSU, Florida, UCLA, and those are the cluster of teams, and Oklahoma stands right head-to-head with all of them, don't they?
Well, I think it just depends on the day. You know, you can be national champion one day, and the next day it might be a different team. And so can they bring it game day? That's the real question.
Well, the Sooners have shown they have done it in the past. Now, next week, once again, up at the Cox Arena, it's the Perfect 10 Challenge. That's part of the whole Bart and Nadia sports experience. I know, Kelly, you and I will be there, and my wife, Nadia Comaneci, and others will be talking about sports and wellness and fitness. But the marquee event of the weekend will be the Oklahoma Sooners as they take on Nebraska on the podium in the Cox Arena. And, of course, we'll cover it for TV. But we sure want the fans to make sure they don't miss a chance to come see one of the top teams in the country. And I mean, really a fine program that represents all that's good about collegiate sports.
Well, not only that, I love that you bring in the kid aspect because it brings a full picture of helping the youth, but also showcasing the best gymnasts in the country. You have an opportunity. We hope to see you there.
All right, Kelly Garrison Funderburk, it's always a pleasure to work with you. Congratulations on 30 years since your Olympic moment. And a great night of gymnastics here at the Lloyd Noble Center. The Sooners get the victory over the visiting Tar Heels, their third impressive 198-plus score. Great day of gymnastics from Norman, Oklahoma. We're so glad you've joined us here on the Sooner Sports Network. We'll see you next week from the Cox Arena. It's Friday night, February the 16th. OU will take on Nebraska.